Hey Bible lovers, I'm Tim Nichols and I'm here bringing your Nichols Worth, and today from ICA Bibles we have the NASB 1995 Passaggio Bible Rebound in Marine Sully goat skin. Now a lot of people tend to think that Sully goat skin isn't very high quality and they tend to shy away from it. There's also times when people struggle with lack of stitching on the edge of some of Rebinder's Bibles. Now ICA does offer stitching. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about a few features, and we're going to talk about Sully goat skin and why I think it's a worthy Rebind candidate. So let's check it out. First of all, check out the spine. One thing about Sully goat skin is it tools very nicely and it stamps very clean because the grain is not real deep. Sometimes when you have a really deep grain leather, the stamper doesn't want to get deep down in there and the gold foil doesn't want to stick, and it kind of looks a little funky. You don't have that issue with the Sully. Also, look at those clean tool lines between the hubs. This one's actually double tooled. Looks really nice. His logo comes out really clean. Now, when you look at the cover, we have a tool line guiding around the block, and then there's a tool line around the edge here. Gives it kind of that classic Allen look. What a lot of people think is when it's glued without any stitching, it makes that edge unsecure. But what you don't realize is pretty much everything is glued, to include this edge line tab here. That doesn't come apart. So I'm going to show you. Here is an example of one that has not been stitched. And here's an example of one that has been stitched. And you can see the stitching is up here toward the top, leaving that edge still glued. So this is still glued. The sewing here is more of a cosmetic thing than it is a security thing. Now, obviously, if you put some thread in there, it is going to be a little extra secure, but if this starts busting apart, that thread is not going to save it. You're still going to have all kinds of issues here. So that acid-free glue they use to secure this fold over to this liner, that's going to be secure pretty much for the rest of your life. Definitely for the life of this text block. There are no issues when it comes to not adding perimeter stitching to your Bible. It's going to be just as secure. I have an example here of one I've had a long time. I used this to preach for a little while. This one has no tool line, no stitch work, no nothing. And check it out. We are still good and secure. There is no getting that apart. This glue is meant to last, and it's for bookbinding purposes. Now let's talk about the goat skin for just a second. I believe the reason people kind of shy away from Sully goat skin when it comes to custom rebinds is because it does look a little bit like a stock leather. Let me give you some examples of some really high-end stock leather. This is from Humble Lamb. This is the Mauritian goat skin, and you can see that the grain pattern looks a little bit the same, and this is more of a shiny finish. The reason these grain patterns look the same is because they are both stamped. This grain is not natural like it would be, say, in a shark, or like it would be in a river grain or some of these other non-stamped leathers. Another example is your Premier collection. Now this one, you can get these for a little over $100, but you can see those look pretty comparable. So I think one of the deterrents people have with Sully is they think it looks too stock. Just a couple more examples of some stock leather. This is a Crossway. This is also a stamped grain, as are the previous two that I showed you. And you can see similar in quality, similar in feel, similar in thickness. There's not going to be a whole lot of difference. And then when you move into Skylar. Now I do not believe Skylar has a stamped grain, but this is a high-end leather. Ultimately, you can't feel much of a difference. So I think one of the issues people have with Sully is they think, you know what, it looks too much like stock. However, one thing about Sully that you want to take a look at is that it's also less expensive than some of your other high-end leathers, especially goat skins. You can save some money and still get some of the custom options, because what you're not going to get with a Skylar, what you're not going to get with a Crossway, what you're not going to get with a Humble Lamb and some of these others is this really nice full yap. Now Skylars do come with a full yap, but they aren't going to have some of these other features. For example, the spine work is going to be a little less ornate. Your liner work isn't going to have the double gilt lines. It isn't going to have those nice, beautiful corners and all this customization. So, yes, you can get a Skylar for about $240 with full yap, but really, for less than $100 more, you can get something custom in Sully goat skin. And another great thing about Sully is it comes in a wide range of colors. You can't get that with some of your other high-end custom leathers. So Sully goat skin, yes, it does look a little more stock than custom, but you get all the custom features and you get a pretty good price. Now that fluctuates depending on what you want and what you need, but you can get a really nice rebind in Sully goat skin and save some money. So there you have it. Keep calm. Jesus on. This is your Nicholas Worth.